The informational war continues. Now even DuckDuckGo is going to be censoring their search results. DuckDuckGo was the home for many people who were seeking refuge from Google, people like me who wanted just to look at information. Let me be the judge of what I see. DuckDuckGo kind of became a home for many of us. Well, we'll see about that. And maybe we'll switch to a new browser. I changed mine today, going to be trying it out. I'll let you know which one I flipped over to. But look at this tweet. This came over from the CEO of DuckDuckGo today, March 9th, 5:28 p.m. Says, Gabriel Weinberg posted this, says, like so many others, I am sickened by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the gigantic humanitarian crisis it continues to create. Nothing wrong with that, of course, right? Death and mayhem and war and everything that we're seeing is horrendous. Nobody disagrees with that, I think. He says, though, at DuckDuckGo, now as a consequence of this carnage, we've been rolling out search updates that downrank sites associated with Russian disinformation. All right, so apparently it's part of the war effort or something. He's going to be waging an informational war and stopping the Russians from attacking truth, I guess. I don't know. But he's conflating the two things together. This is who he is. Gabriel Weinberg, CEO, founder of DuckDuckGo, co-author of Super Thinking, and co-author of Traction, has 100,000 followers there on Twitter. And he's really sticking to this thing. He said here, in addition to downranking those Russian sites associated with disinformation, which what the hell does that even mean? Says we also often place news modules and information boxes at the top of the DuckDuckGo search results. And we're going to take a look at some of these. I did a couple sample searches earlier. He says where they are seen and clicked the most to highlight quality information for rapidly unfolding topics. Now, when I was poking around and searching, I didn't see any of these little info warning boxes, which I'm so tired of just trying to bubble wrap everything that we see and touch and feel everywhere we go on YouTube. This is disinformation on Instagram. Are you concerned? Double check the official. Okay, we get it. Now, they're going to be doing it apparently on DuckDuckGo. Because you're too stupid. Those of us, I'm talking about me who use it, apparently we're too stupid to know better. He says DuckDuckGo's mission is to make simple privacy protection accessible to all. And so when I read that, I thought, well, maybe he's not actually interested in information in terms of accessibility. He's interested in privacy. Oh, so maybe one of his mission statements is not even about access to information or maybe he's a censored person after all. I don't know. Here he says privacy is a human right and it transcends politics, which is why about 100 million people use DuckDuckGo. We don't have a count since we don't track people. Well, it's going to be less now. Nobody on Twitter is happy about this. And I'm not either. DuckDuckGo here on LinkedIn says we're raising the standard of trust online. And by trust, I think that means you provide people, reputable results that have a sort of integrous characteristics based on what they're looking for. Like if they want Russian news, they're going to go get it. They don't need you to downrank it because you think it's untrustworthy. You're substituting your judgment for theirs, and you're precluding them from seeing information that they might want because you've made a value decision. So here, I think trust is basically shattered. So I don't know that the standard has been raised. I think it's been fallen dramatically. I'm not using it anymore. It says making privacy simple and accessible for everyone. We're hiring too. That's great. It says we're an internet privacy company for everyone who's had enough of the hidden online tracking and who wants to take back their privacy now. And so I think, to be fair to them, I think that they're standing by that, right? Nothing about this policy changes any of that. You're just not going to see more of the results that maybe you're looking for. For over a decade, we've created products and worked with policymakers, to make online privacy simple. Every day, millions of people rely on our free all-in-one solution to stay private online. Well, it's going to be less, as I said. So I did a couple quick searches on DuckDuckGo this afternoon to take a look and see what happened here. Here, you take a look, and if I go in and I type RT News, which is a Russian website that everybody says is propaganda, and probably is, but isn't that what our news is? I mean, are we serious here? Most of our news is propaganda as far as I can tell. Now, it's maybe to a lesser degree, or maybe it's for better purposes, or maybe it's for a more enlightened existence. And I agree with all of those things. And I love our country. And I love, a lot of the principles that we stand and fight for and adhere to. But is it not largely propaganda when you turn on any one of the major news media stations? Come on now. Same thing's going on in Russia, but now DuckDuckGo says, well, you can't see this stuff. But you're showing me this, Rob. You're saying, hey, I can see it right here. That's because I typed it in, right? I typed RT News into the search engine. And so they're going to still show us those results because they're going to give us the specific details. They know that we want that. Same thing happens when you go over to Sputnik News, right? Another Russian commie propaganda piece. Here, they're showing us the same thing. Sputnik News. Okay. We've got it. But what happens if I just type in Russian news? Oh, well, some of those high-ranking websites are not going to be on there. RT News, Sputnik News, not on here. Instead, what do we get? NBC, we get CNBC, we get Reuters, we get Russia from Al Jazeera, we get BBC, and then we get RussiaNews.net. So the other places that maybe you want to go to see the Russian news, you don't get. And that's all above the fold. Even beneath the fold, you can see it goes nothing. Al Jazeera, BBC, Moscow Times. Now we got Russian news, Reuters, News Now, and newsnow.com. So they're just essentially censoring their search results. Isn't that nice? So where everybody left Google because of this, everybody's going to leave DuckDuckGo and go over to the new one. And so we'll see where that leads DuckDuckGo. But it feels like they sort of shattered their brand with, I think, 3 tweets. Bop, 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 1, 2, 3, easy as can be. Here we see that this may have something to do with something else. The election wizard at ElectionWiz on Twitter, awesome follow, says, just in, the EU sanctions against Russia require, star there, asterisk, search engines and social media companies to suppress and or disappear Russian news outlets. And so the question, of course, is this why DuckDuckGo is making this change? Are they getting ahead of this? And they're just saying, we're going to do that moral virtue signal grift like everybody else, and we're going to just make this change before the EU changes, make us do it anyways. And that is maybe something that did happen. Of course, now we're sort of asking ourselves, why is the EU doing the same thing? Why are they demanding censorship? Let's see what they say here. Here, internet search services, according to the sanctions that were shared with us from ElectionWiz, says in the regulation, the legislator intends to set out very broad and comprehensive prohibition on what happens here under these new sanctions. Internet search services are provided by operators for the purpose of regulation. And here they say, people who are involved in this, the Russian Federation has engaged in continuous and concerted propaganda actions targeted at several in our society, gravely distorting and manipulating the facts. Okay, that may be true. But the people who are receiving these things can use their own judgment and come to their own determination about what reality is. They can listen to both sides. Can't do that if you're censoring the conversation and only presiding your facts. Then we don't get to go through the crucible of truth and have that dialectic about what the best, most just outcome is, because you have dictated that for us. Search engines like Google are designed to index results containing any possible content. Yeah, that's true. And he says here, the sanctions say, the activity of search engines plays a decisive role in the overall dissemination of content. Therefore, if search engines like Google did not delist RT and Sputnik, they would facilitate the public's access to their content. And we can't have that happen, can we? No, the public, if they came across these Russian propaganda pieces, well, they just might turn into little communists themselves, and I guess take up arms against the Ukrainian people. I guess it might be the conclusion here. I don't know. Here it follows, they write, from the foregoing that the virtue of the regulation, providers of the internet and their corresponding websites, they got to be addressed. Otherwise, the results are going to be delivered. Now it says, as regards to the post made by individuals that reproduce the content of RT and Sputnik, those posts shall not be published. Do you see this? Posts made by individuals. So it's not only they're blocking RT and Sputnik, the people who take their content and post it shall not be published, and if published, must be deleted. Here it says social media must prevent users from broadcasting any content of RT and Sputnik. So Facebook and all the social media companies out there, you've got to go out there and you've got to start censoring now, according to these sanctions. That applies to both accounts which appear as belonging to those of these organizations or to any other individuals. Suspend everybody, they write. What a ridiculous joke. Admittedly, they say this line is going to be difficult to draw. Yeah, we don't really know. It's true that social media put under strain here. However, the decision to fully depart in the present regulation has been justified on the grounds of the situation. And listen to this, its temporary character. Don't you love these little dictator tyrants? So they're out there screaming about, tyranny around the world, where they start literally sort of becoming the people that they are, I guess, opposing. Opposing communists and dictators because of their sanctions against free speech and democratic principles and an open exchange of ideas and free and fair conversations and freedom of assembly and freedom of association and the ability of the press to be open and free and for people to find information and engage in the public square. Not anymore, because everybody's too stupid and they're going to fall prey to Russian propaganda. These are our smart, sophisticated leaders out there governing us. Here it continues, says the use of content in the media reporting on the sanction. Freedom of speech entails users have the right to receive objective information on current events. Okay, what about the people receiving these pieces of information? They have a right to receive that, but they say at the same time, the right to free speech can be restricted for legitimate public interest if it's proportionate. And they say that's appropriate here, and they're citing all of this. So we now see that under the conclusions of war, under the conditions of war, we have governments and leaders around the world taking great steps towards gobbling up more power. And they're waging this war on the battlefield. They're invading in tanks and they're hunkered down in buildings. But the war is existing beyond that. The war is also something that we're seeing in our cities, on our cell phones, on our search engines now. Places like DuckDuckGo prohibiting certain stories from reaching our eyeballs because I guess it's too dangerous, it's misinformation, it's distorting the truth because they've decided the truth for us. So my question to you is, what do you think about this? Do you think that censorship of disinformation is appropriate or not? I'd like to hear what you think. Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with a friend or family member if you don't mind. I'd really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.